Jackie is in his shoes. You really might know what it's like.
Oh, these are usually stories about people, and you think, oh, I'd hate to live in his shoe or her shoes.
Yes. Now, this guy, Shaun Attwood, Kyle, who's been on Banged Up Abroad, got a couple of books out.
Oh, I love that Banged Up Abroad.
His story is quite a fascinating one. Well, actually, let's first of all say hi to Shaun. Good morning, Shaun.
Hi.
Hey, good evening, Jackie and Kyle, from a rainy, wet, cold London.
Oh, you're over in London.
Yes.
Okay, now what's this story about, Jackie?
Well, why don't you tell the story, Shaun? Because you started out, you became a stock market millionaire, but you headed up an organisation where you were throwing raves and distributing ecstasy. You ended up in jail. This is quite some story, which I'll let him explain in a snapshot. Go for it, Shaun.
Well, I started following the stock market when I was 14, so I had a natural ability. I went to America, made millions in the stock market as a young person. The money went right to my head. I started throwing massive ecstasy parties for thousands of people. SWAT team smashed my door down. I ended up in the jail that's got the highest rate of death in America.
Oh.
Where not only were the gangs murdering the prisoners, even the guards are murdering the prisoners.
Oh, God.
So inside this jail, it was just open slather. Everyone's killing everyone.
Well, as soon as I went in, I had to get used to the sounds of heads getting bashed against toilets, bodies getting thrown around, people getting carried out on stretchers who looked like they were dead.
Did you have to do some favours to get some protection?
What kind of favours?
Anything that keeps them alive.
I was lucky because some of my bouncers from the raves were arrested with me.
Oh,
including
brilliant.
My best friend from my hometown, Wild Man, who's twice my size.
Oh,
So
no one
those
wants to
guys
mess with
protected
someone. The guy's called Wild Man. You don't want to mess with him.
And later on, my writing, I started writing stories for the prisoners, and one of the guys who protected me, whose story I was writing, was Two Tonys. He was a mafia mass murderer who left the bodies of rival gangsters from Tucson to Alaska. He was serving 112 years, and I did have problems with the prison gang, but Two Tonys made them go away.
Oh, wow. So you did have some good protection. Before you got to prison, though, Shaun, just to elaborate a little bit. So you started out distributing ecstasy on a very small scale. Then it was house parties where you'd get 80 people. Then you ended up doing raves for 2,000 plus, and you were selling ecstasy, and you were making an absolute bucket load, correct?
Correct, yes. I didn't need to be doing it. I made a lot in the stock market, but I got addicted to that style. I got addicted to the attention I was getting from throwing these parties and being the ecstasy dealer. I thought I was Mr. Cool Guy. I didn't see what was coming at me down the road.
And how long did this last for, though?
Well, he ended up becoming one of the biggest drug dealers, and the mafia then came after you, correct?
Yes, Sammy the Bull Gravano, the underboss of the Gambino crime family who murdered 24 people, he was running an ecstasy ring in competition with mine, and his son told me later in prison that he'd been the head of an armed team dispatched to kidnap me from a nightclub and take me out to the desert. Because I was on drugs at the time, I thought what I was doing was the most brilliant idea, but I didn't realise the danger I was kind of putting myself in. And to this day, I feel I'm just lucky to be alive.
So when you look back now, do you think, oh, they were the great times, or, gee, I was an idiot and out of control?
I was an idiot and out of control, and I try and make amends now by going to schools and telling young people. I mean, half my friends who were doing drugs have died, and I tell them these stories, in the hope they won't make the same mistakes I did.
Do you think kids look at you and think, oh, right, so you pilled it all through your life, and now you're telling us we can't do it?
Well, you're not going to reach all of them, but if you look at my Twitter favourites, I get all this live feedback from the students, and I get to see it through their eyes, and they say, they don't listen to their parents, they don't listen to their teachers, but my story gripped them. I didn't go in there and preach to them, it's put them off doing drugs and crime.
And how long were you sentenced to this notorious prison where people die all the time? How long was the sentence for?
Well, I was sentenced to 9.5 years, and the notorious jail was only the remand period. That was the first 26 months. After that, I then went into the Arizona Department of Corrections.
So to survive, it sounds like if you can survive even a year in this prison, you're doing well.
Yes, yeah. I mean, people were trying to kill themselves. People were throwing off. They wouldn't even die, they would just get crippled. But, people say to me, how did you survive? And I say you have to adapt or else you perish. And as humans, we have this remarkable ability to adapt to environments, but we just don't realise it until we're in an environment like that, and it's forced upon us.
Yeah. And your parents had no idea what was going on, did they? And you had to call them from prison to explain that
Well, that must have been a terrible phone call.
That was one of the sorriest days of my life. You
Okay,
know,
I'll be your dad. I'll be your dad, and you be you. Okay. Oh, hello, son. I'm so proud that you've made all that money on the internet or the stock exchange.
I know. And my mum had a nervous breakdown. My sister had to have counselling.
No. You're not playing your part properly.
He wants a reenactment, Shaun, of how that conversation went down.
You're going to traumatise me, Kyle.
No,
Okay, well, forget it. I'm withdrawing the question. It must have. But so your mum got sick over it. She had the breakdown, you said.
Yeah, she had a nervous breakdown, and she had to have my sister had to have counselling as well. And to this day, I see the hurt and pain on their faces that I caused, and if I could reverse that, I would.
Oh, that's terrible.
So,
what a
Shaun,
terrible
the message
story.
is, don't do it. What you did was stupid. You may have been living the life at the time, but boy, did you pay for it, right?
Yeah, think about the consequences of your actions.
Yeah.
So all that partying and millions and millions of dollars.
Do you have any money
That's
now?
not worth
Did
it.
they take all that money away from you, and what are you left with?
If you're dumb enough to be committing crimes and have a lot of money, the state will target you to liquidate your wealth, and I was one of those people.
Yeah.
Everything was completely confiscated, so now I'm just rebuilding my life from scratch.
Yeah.
What are you doing for a living now? How are you making money?
Well, I'm a full-time public speaker and author. I do over 100 talks a year, and my life story is out as a trilogy: Hard Time, Party Time, and Prison Time. And I've also got a self-help book coming out next year.
Okay.
Wow, that's impressive.
All right.
Nice turnaround.
Yes, yeah.
It is impressive,
We've got
isn't
a
it?
message there. Shaun, thanks so much for talking to us this morning.
What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is @Shaun Attwood. That's SHAUNATT Wood. And my blog is John's Jail Journal.
John's Jail Journal. Oh, I bet there's some saucy romantic stuff in there.
Well, I didn't drop the soap in the shower, let's put it that way.
Thanks, Shaun.
Thank you, buddy. Wow, how's that?
I know.
See, a lot of these party boys, they think, oh, this is the life.
Yeah, it all comes
we're
back to
killing
bite
it,
you,
we're
right?
killing it, and
At
then
some point.
bang. So you bear that in mind, Tim, when you're out there with all your friends?
Yeah, whatever.
He's such a straighty 180,
I
Tim.
know.
Well, we think. We don't know.
And you'll find out tonight.
Hey, Liz
Oh,
Hurley
yeah.
will be
I'm
joining
worried
us
about
soon. Stand by.
And Reese Maston is minutes away. This is Today FM.